Hey guys, Mike here. So I got a jam-packed video for you today, and I'll start off by saying the S&P has finally reached this moment where we get to see, are we going to be heading up like everybody says we are, or are we going to start falling through some support levels here? And so that's going to be key. I know some people have been calling for, a crash, and, it just keeps going up. Well, we're going to find out, and I'll show you that on the chart, because you got some stocks that are actually busting through ceilings and some stocks that are literally sitting on a cliff right now, and I'll put one of those on your radar if you didn't know about it. But one thing I meant to really focus on yesterday and say, one thing that's happening in the market is, once again, is you remember the market, the whole point of this rally was short covering, right? Stock buybacks, and then this whole thing about this soft landing where the Fed can continue to raise rates and then pause, and it wouldn't cause unemployment to go up or that much, to affect the market too much, and everything would be hunky-dory, right? And they're going to cut and everything, and we're all going to, have rainbows and unicorns all over the world, right? Or something like that. But anyway, what's happening, though, is all of a sudden, they're going, wait a minute, I think the Fed might be telling the truth. They might be raising higher than we thought they were going to raise, right? So it's trying to figure out this Fed funds rate and then the amount of cuts. And what do I mean by that? Well, right here, what the difference a month makes. Oh boy, look at this right here. The dark line right there at the top, the yellow or green, whatever color that is, I'm colorblind at the bottom. You can see on, January 2nd, that's where they said, oh, this is what's going to be happening right here. Well, now all of a sudden they're like, well, maybe it's going to be higher, which of course the market really doesn't like that. And so, because it creates uncertainty and everything, and plus they're trying to figure out what they're going to cut, are they going to not cut? Because that's the whole basis for this whole thing, right? This whole move and stuff, really. And so that's what it's trying to figure out. And, we're going to find out where they settle at on this, right? Because they've been marching out Fed president after Fed president. They say the same thing over and over, okay? I mean, I think we all agree probably the Fed funds rate is going to be between 5 and 5.5 somewhere. But now they're talking about maybe it's going to be 6. I mean, who knows on that? But what's the market not like? Uncertainty. And so when they have to start pricing this in higher, you start to get a pullback. How big that pullback is going to be, who knows? And that's, again, when we get the chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. But there are 3 things I was going to touch on real quick that you can tell are really fueling this rally, right? And one is we still got a lot of money, or somebody does, to be putting in these ETFs, because this is the January inflows in the ETFs, and that's the 10-year average. And it is well above the average, as you can see. That's not usually normal. But as you can see with this huge move we've had, I guess you shouldn't be surprised about that. The other one is, look at these shortest stocks, man. So this is the most shortest stocks versus the S&P on this rally, and you can see, I mean, it's just not even close. And some of the stocks I'm talking about, Bed Bath & Beyond, Carvana, all of those stocks have just absolutely been just going on a tear, up like 300-400%, right? And the S&P, I mean, it's up 7, and I mean, you got Tesla, who's not even a hugely short of stock. I mean, it's up, almost 100% from its bottom. There's definitely, you can tell one thing we're running out of is short covering at this point in time, right? And we'll touch on that in just a minute. The other one is AI, right? If you ever, I put this in here because some people are saying, hey, what's good AI stocks? Obviously, you got Microsoft, debuted theirs yesterday, did great. Google crapped the bed this morning with theirs. Something went wrong or something during the demonstration I read, and so it dropped massively. But then, of course, Microsoft dropped with it for whatever reason. Baidu's another one. Another one to keep on your radar if you've never done research on is Mobileye. I'm starting to research this one myself. A lot of people like Intel. I don't mean some people are really big into that one. Nvidia is one really riding the wave on this because people are getting their chips for this. I know Facebook's another one. They're big into AI as well. Amazon. And so if you just scroll through, there's a bunch on there. And as I'm sure you've seen, I mean, anything with AI has just been going up huge, right? Over the last month, for sure. That's the talk of the town. And so, again, like I said before, we're going to get to find out what kind of legs this rally really has, this market has in general, when the short covering's finally done. All this crazy meme stock frenzy is behind us and stuff, kind of slows down on that as well. And then we're going to get to see, are we still bringing cash off the sidelines and rolling it in, right? Or the other thing I want to talk about is TINA. Remember TINA? Well, I think we broke up with TINA. TINA was the acronym we used for years saying there is no alternative besides the stock market, right? Because the interest rates were being suppressed, so there's no point in putting a bunch of money into bonds and CDs and things of that nature when all of a sudden billions of dollars are flowing in to bonds and treasuries and CDs and all kinds of stuff, especially for retirees and all that. They're like, hey, this is great, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the market, because it's going over here, right? There's only one piece of the pie here. if more of the pie is going to the right and not the left, and the left's the stock market, where are we going? How's that going to affect it? That's really, the big thing we got to think about. But now let's get into the S&P here in these charts real quick. And you can see in the S&P, this is what I'm talking about, that trend line I've been talking about for, I don't know, a couple weeks now. And we've tested it multiple times. Well, now we're sitting right on it. We came right down at it today. And right below that is that double top support level. Remember, we broke it, came back down, tested it, bounced. And so now we're testing it again. And I think when you look at the RSI, obviously it was overbought. Started selling off. That's natural. It looks like the MACD to me wants to roll over just like it did back here. Again, it could bounce again and then roll over, but looking like it wants to take a breather. Because again, this is a huge move up for the S&P, right, in a very short amount of time. And so we'll get to see on that. And then if we pull up the moving averages, you can see that's the 50 crossing the 200. And again, it's not about the cross, right? The cross has power, of course, but what happened when this thing crossed? It just started selling back down, right? It is about the angle or the trajectory of the moving averages. Are they flat? Are they heading down? Are they curving up? And as you can see, the 50 is trying to curve up, right? It's pointing upwards. What's 200 doing? It's still heading down at this point in time. It hadn't even flattened out yet. Okay, you see the 100 is trying to curve up. And so we just kind of scroll back. You'll see right here. See the move up right there and see what the 50 is doing? Like it's heading up nicely. And so, look at the angles of the moving averages, not so much the cross itself. That's kind of the big thing to look at. Again, during any bear market, we only get one golden cross. It doesn't mean like, oh, pile in now because we're going up the next day. It does not mean that. You see the golden cross happen there. Market actually sold off and then started heading back up. But you can see when that 200, when that freighter, I always like to call it, turns up and starts heading up, you get huge moves in the market. And of course, if it heads down, the same thing. Now, that leads us to Tesla, which of course has been banging its head against the 200 ceiling there, right? Multiple times. Well, guess what? Broke through it today. And if we go to the shorter time frame, you can see, didn't waste any time this morning. Just flew right through it, came back down, couldn't hold, came back up, couldn't hold again. Then finally came back up, tested it twice, and then rocketed up, came back down, and tested it, and then went back up again. So everybody will be looking to see if it's going to be able to hold this from now on in. And like I was saying, if we look at the options, this is what it was all about, that 200 call wall. Will market makers allow it to go over? Because if it gets over 200 and it's able to hold it, all of a sudden you're looking going, well, okay, 205, not a whole lot out there. 210, got some. Really not until 220, and that's this week. Look at next week. There's a 200 wall, which of course we're above right now. Then it's like 220 becomes your new wall. I mean, you got 210, what to see. But like I said, if you get past 200, you almost got a free run to 210. And then let's do 210, then you come out 220. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. And if you're getting anything out of this, please hit the like and think about sharing the video, guys. But of course, once again, I keep talking about the RSI. I mean, this thing is really getting overbought, right? I mean, it's just sitting there for what, 5-6 days now being overbought. But again, let me show you one that is the epitome of this. Look at Meta. Meta, look at how high it got. I mean, I think it was like 87, 88, right? And it's been pulling back, right? Had a nice pullback. I think the high was 197 and it closed like 183 today and some change, I believe. But this is what I was talking about. I was on a cliff, right? Look at this huge gap. That is an enormous gap that I can promise you a lot of short sellers are just sitting there going, oh yes. I mean, they are drooling at looking at that gap to be filled, because I forgot I measured it, but I'm going to take a guess and say it's like something like 15, 16% maybe of a gap. And I mean, I was stunned. I knew the way things were going. I mean, tell me in the comments, did you think that would jump that much? I didn't think any stock right now in this moment would, especially a large cap stock, would jump that much on earnings when the earnings weren't even that great. That's what's so crazy to me about it. But I mean, you thought they hung the moon on those earnings, right? But I thought maybe a 10% jump, maybe 5 to 10, somewhere in there. And I remember the next day it was up 23%, if I remember correctly. That's unbelievable. I mean, it's just crazy. I can't believe that. But that's one. Keep on your radar if you like to short stocks, because remember, I mean, gaps love to fill. And right now, especially if the SPY does roll over, if the NASDAQ rolls over and we take a breather, then absolutely, that's most likely going to happen. And so the shorts will love that. Now, looking at some earnings here, there are some going on tomorrow that you need to be aware of. Right off the bat, you're going to have PepsiCo, AbbVie, Hilton, Kellogg's, Duke Energy, Toyota, Cameco, right? These are going to be big ones. And we had a lot of mixed bag earnings, right? I mean, it seemed like nobody cared about EPS anymore. Showed you yesterday where that's just shrinking and actually about to go negative. But In the afternoon though, this is a big one. You're going to PayPal, Cloudflare, Lyft, of course, Uber popped today, Expedia, Aurora. So that's going to be the big ones. And I just want to know, are we traveling and stuff? That's the big ones I'm looking for. And PayPal's going to let us know how much we're spending. But boy, did anybody get on this roller coaster today with Enphase? They actually reported last night, beat earnings, and then just rocketed up their 10%. After that, it was over. They went, nope, see ya. And he got to that 220 area and loves to be at, but then that didn't hold. And he thought, oh my God, this is terrible. We're going down. And then bam, look at that. Shoom, rocketing up past the 220 again. Look at this. What a roller coaster. And I didn't bother doing the percentages on that, but it looks like, what is that, like 1 to 2% swing, maybe more, because it's Enphase, I guess. And it's a volatile solar stock. We don't think anything about it or anything. But yeah, I mean, let me know in the comments if you were on that ride. I thought for sure when it opened up this morning, I was like, yeah, and I got people sending me emails saying, hey, thanks for, because I put it on there for a swing trade a while back or whatever, and 220 seems to be that magical area it loves to bounce from. But yeah, I don't know what they said on that earnings call, but because the earnings call was last night, that's what didn't make any sense to me. And so yeah, that was interesting. But now tomorrow, when it comes to economic news, two things: unemployment claims people will be looking at, right? So if the market is looking to take a breather and sell off, unemployment claims will be one reason. The other is going to be natural gas storage, and I don't know if this will finally affect the price, but since a lot of people in our members keep talking about this, man, this thing, natural gas, everybody keeps saying this has to be the bottom. Has to be the bottom at that level right there. And then nope, this is the bottom over here. Like, how much more can it go down is what you keep hearing people say. Because, this is the daily, because it's been oversold all of 2023, right? And so people are just thinking, man, it's got to be the bottom. I didn't even look at the weekly chart yet, but, it's got to be the bottom. And so eventually, I guess, everything has to have a bottom at some point in time. But again, it's called the widowmaker for a reason. That's why I don't mess with it, right? Because I love my wife. I'm good. I don't want to make her a widow. I say that jokingly, of course. But you can just imagine if you were dealing in natural gas with millions of dollars with these moves that are making. And hey, whenever it does bottom, whenever it does make its move up, if you get bored, look at I guess the BOIL, BOIL. That's a triple leverage ETF, a bullish ETF for it. And the moves are just insane, right? And so if you ever get bored, look at that. But approach that one at your own risk, okay? Approach it at your own risk. That's all I'm saying. All right. So anyway, let me know what you're doing in the comments. Hope you got something out of it. Hit the like, subscribe if you did, and I'll see you tomorrow.